You ready?
Okay.
Almost.
Can't better looking the same though. To that one.
That just hit me. Just down a little more. You can't tell.
I mean, I think you added jewelry. I don't remember that jewelry at first, but
I took it out of the shirt.
oh, yeah,
Now I look like I'm from Compton.
not really.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got a real NWA vibe going right now.
Thank you, Terry. Rudy was trying to hate.
It wasn't really Compton. It was more like Mr. T.
Well, no, it's Compton. It's just like broke Compton. You know?
Not broke Compton.
That's something you hide from Devo and Friday. You know.
Right. He'll be mad at my little Forever 21 chain.
Don't tuck it in. You got to take it off. Put it away.
Janessa, say something so you can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, man.
Well, I'm gonna have to be on my phone today. Let me see. How do you turn it?
Well, you should probably turn it horizontally.
That's what I was doing, Terry.
I just meant for your own benefit. That's all. Nobody looks good in vertical.
Hey, man.
Oh.
Is everybody right here?
I'm ready for the boom and the shakalaka.
Let's do it.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. This is the podcast for the worst ones. Y'all like that? Was that a better intro?
I do, yeah.
Kellie,
I missed the
why are
Christmas
you on
tree,
mute?
though.
Because somebody was texting me, but mine was better.
I missed the Christmas tree from our first season.
Oh, in the old apartment?
Yeah. Rudy's Forever Tree.
That's back when he was in California.
That's right.
Burbank.
I went out there
But
with
I was
the
saying
Homer.
my introduction that one day was the best one. But go ahead.
Do you want to do it from now? Do it. Go ahead. Do it right now.
No, I'm good. It was like impromptu kind of, wow. But it was still the best. But yours is good.
All right. Well, I was telling you, did you like my little slogan? Like, this is the podcast. This is the Worst Ones podcast. This is a podcast for the worst ones.
Yeah, I like that better than Preacher's Kid because I'm retiring from being a Preacher's Kid.
Wow.
I don't think you're allowed to.
I don't
think that's an option.
Is your dad retiring? Because unless he's
retiring,
unless he's still at it, I don't think.
I'm retired.
I don't think that's how
if he retires, then you automatically get retired. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Yeah, if you get retired, I don't think that title just disappears.
I'm retired.
Yeah, you're just a retired PK, but you still.
Yeah. It's like the British royals. Like, you can advocate the throne if you want, but you're still a prince, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm Rudy Wilson. I am a Preacher's Kid. I am a worst one since Kelly don't like Preacher's Kid. Kellie Lee is here. She's the worst one.
Retired Preacher's Kid.
Wow. He's the worst one. And we got Jay Rihanna.
I'm the worst one of the worst ones.
She is the worst one as well.
I'm the best of the worst.
She's the best of the worst.
You should have seen her before the show started. Yeah.
Terry, mind your business.
I'm the best of the worst.
Because I'm trying to get some conflict going so we get our ratings up. We're gonna be the Real Housewives of Southern churches.
Whatever. The real Preacher's Kid.
Throw a wine glass at somebody.
Kelly, why you keep going back on me? What's happening?
Because I'm growing. You remember we were working on the grows.
So you don't ask because your phone is ringing off the hook because you texting?
You want to know what y'all want to know? Real talk. What happens when I get on my computer? And the only time I get on my computer is during the podcast. And when I get on the computer, it's easier to text because it's right here in front of you and you can just type it versus the phone. And then I think I just start engaging in like conversations because it's just so easy. So that's on me. I got to do better.
Kelly, maybe tilt your camera down a little bit. You know,
But y'all want to see my chains?
Well, show the people what they came to see. So, no, it looks weird when you have too much headspace.
Well, Kelly, while we're seeing what we came to see, how are you doing?
Me, I'm doing great. Let me tell y'all a story. So last week we talked about the prayer line, and I told y'all there was only like a couple of people on the prayer line. Sunday, 8 people on the prayer line.
Ooh.
At 3:00 in the morning on a Sunday.
Okay.
What are 8 people doing? Now, 2 of them were me and my dad. But what are 6 other people doing on the prayer line at 6 a.m.? 3 a.m. 6 other people at 3 a.m.
What are they doing there at 3 a.m.?
They're listening to me pray. But let me tell you something. Your girl was a prayer warrior.
Come on, prayer warrior.
Pray the prayer line down. I mean, the spirit was flowing through me. And it felt great. I felt like I was truly in a ministerial space, and I ministered to the people through my words. And I was telling one of my friends about it, one of my friends who I've been friends with for a long time. And I'm like, just yesterday, and I'm like, did I tell you I was doing a prayer line for my church? And she was like, what? No. And she was just like, I'm proud of you. She was like, I feel like the podcast has really helped you come out of your shell. And I'm like, probably not the podcast, but I've definitely come out of my shell. I'm like, you giving way too much credit to the podcast, but definitely coming out of my shell. But she did attribute it a little bit to you guys, but
well, it was 3 a.m., so I assume you were drunk.
Absolutely not. First of all,
I brought you out of the show.
January 1st. First of all, I haven't had a drink since January 1st. I intentionally don't go out Saturday night. I'm like chill, wind down 7, 8, in bed 9, 10, pray before bed. Alarm goes off at 2:30. Like really in the mode. Real intentional about what it is that I'm doing. And again, I chose the 3 a.m. time thinking that no one would be on the line. Like I said, we started with 4. This week 8. Somebody said it's going to double to 16 next week.
For the ones that don't know, as myself, what is the prayer line?
So my dad's church did 21 days of 24 hours of prayer. So for 21 days straight, there is someone that prays at the top of every hour. And so my dad asked me to participate and facilitate a prayer in the 21 days, which really isn't my thing. And so something in the spirit told me yes. So I decided to do it, but I chose a 3 a.m. time, hoping that no one would be on but me and my father. And even I hope he would oversleep and it would just be me.
Now your daddy was not gonna oversleep for you.
I was hoping, figuring it's Sunday morning, he got to wake up in a minute to go and preach his sermon and what, you know what I'm saying? Like he don't have time to be up at 3 a.m. Figured it'd just be me. Because as long as no one is on the prayer line, it just plays music. Someone gets on because then the music stops. But I figured let's do it because it's only 7 minutes. So I'm like, let's just the whole 7 minutes, we got music and we good. But no, like I said, the Lord has really stretched me. I'm super, super proud of myself. Like I said, last prayer is Sunday. But just something different, something new that I haven't done before that I've been super excited and hyped to share with you guys. So I'm doing good.
Yay. So where's your mom when you're on the prayer line?
Sleep. So apparently, at church on Sunday, somebody came to her and was like, oh my God, didn't Kelly do such a great job praying? And so I guess my mom had the choice of like, do I lie and say yes? Or do I tell the truth? And like
I mean, I'm sure she did. I don't really know, but I believe if you said it, I believe it.
It was just like, oh, I was asleep.
I ain't mad at her.
So wouldn't be surprised. I think they low-key made her feel a little guilty that they had gotten up to hear me pray. And she did not. So I wouldn't be surprised if she gets up and is on the prayer line for my last prayer on Sunday.
That'll be sweet.
Yeah, but like I said, it's been real intentional about like somebody had asked me to go out like late Saturday night, and I'm like, I can't even do it. Like I gotta pray at 3. Even had tickets to the basketball game. I know I like to go to the basketball game, but I'm like, can't do it. I got to get up and pray. So even me seeing me take it seriously has been good. So, yep.
Congratulations, prayer warrior.
Yeah, man.
Self-proclaimed prayer warrior. She didn't say, somebody called me a prayer warrior. She was like, I'm a prayer warrior. I was fucking them up at 3 a.m.
I did not use the words. I'm talking about prayer.
I was fucking the devil up 3 a.m. That nigga ain't stand a chance.
But from 3 o'clock to 3:07, honey, on them Sunday mornings.
You were fucking them demons up, weren't you? I ain't mad at you.
Taking prayer requests and everything. Man. That's when it gets a little harder. My first prayer, I practice. My second prayer, I take prayer requests. I don't know what the people gonna say. That's really when you gotta go in and like when you really depending on the Lord, like, Lord, let this sound good. Because not only I don't know what to say,
let this sound good.
And I'm praying for other people. So of course they want to feel like, she said a good enough prayer that the Lord heard her. To help me, so it's kind of, it gets kind of difficult, but I think I did a good job.
Is that the way it works? If your prayer is good enough, God hears it?
No, but I'm just joking.
See, what you do is you take all the prayer requests at one time, and then you just go down the line and give God the credit. Like, God, you got the power to fix her bills. You got the power, and you just keep going down and just say, you got the power. And everybody will be like, yeah. Right, okay. You just say, if you could do it for her, you can do it for you. Everybody in this phone call is in the neighborhood. You just start, you start using all them type of terminology.
Okay. Let me write that down for Sunday. God, you got the power too.
Right.
You did it for her, you gonna do it for her too. Right. Sister Mary praised the Lord, said she got that job. Right. Sister Sally's still looking for that job. You did it for Sister Mary, you gonna do it for Sister Sally. I'm on it.
That's how you do it. You just group it all together. Just put it all on God. You out of there.
Amen. All right. Yeah. I'll let y'all know next Wednesday. Have my last Sunday work. Nah, but it's been good.
Gotcha. All right. Terry Weezy. Well, actually,
right.
No. We'll do Terry last. Jay Rihanna, go for it.
Mine's not long. Life's been good. Enjoying my last week of just kind of a chill start to the year, because I'm coming for what's the award, y'all? What's the president? Not the honor roll. I'm coming for the honor roll. Coming for the honor roll starting on next Monday.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
So
I'm gonna pray for you.
Y'all do, because I was looking at the syllabus and I was just kind of like,
not the syllabi.
Yes. So just enjoying this week before I go back to school. And just chilling. Thinking about birthday plans. I did a lot of cooking.
When your birthday is?
March 13th.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thinking already?
And when is yours? The 11th? The 15th?
17th.
17th?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, Terry, when's yours?
March 17th.
St. Patty's Day?
That's correct.
My father's is the 16th. I only said that because he's the reason I'm here.
Here in life or here on this podcast?
Well, both. Really.
All right.
I meant the podcast, but since you said life part, yeah, both really.
Okay.
So nothing new to really report.
What's up? Well, we're rooting for you.
Always.
We believe in you.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pray for you.
Right. There you go. Look.
Thank you.
You ready for them prayer requests now?
Call in at 3.
Call in. I see you at a prayer request line. I mean, line for the.
She DJ prayer warrior. She taking requests.
If I call Kellie at 3, can I be like, "Hey, girl, it's me, Janessa," or is it just you won't know?
I'm gonna mute you.
Oh, okay.
I mute everybody in the beginning, and then I unmute you when it's time for prayer requests. And you can say, "Hey, girl, this Janessa at prayer request time."
Okay. And I'm gonna say, I need you to pray Oh, the honor roll.
Honor roll. I'm already gonna have it written down, so I'm already gonna have what I'm gonna say. So it's gonna
Somebody's
sound
a teacher's pet.
Somebody already got it written down.
Right. Rudy, how you doing?
I'm always good. Always and forever. I have any complaints.
Just do it already.
Do what? Go to you?
How am I?
No, I'm saying, is that what you were talking about when you said just do it already? Just go to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know
I know that's what everybody's waiting on.
Yeah. I agree. Matter of fact, let's
save
do
the
this.
best for last.
Yes,
So
I got married.
everybody.
This is why.
Put it up again.
This is why I
Terry.
wasn't here last week.
Put it up again, Terry. Put it up again.
Put it up again.
Terry.
This is why I wasn't here last week.
Miranda, right? Miranda, right?
Miranda, yeah.
Miranda. I was close.
Yeah. Everybody does that. It's fine.
How you spell her name, Terry?
I don't even know. It's Marinda. Miranda. Which is funny because everybody always calls her Miranda, but Miranda actually came first, and then they made Miranda. But whatever.
Tell us a story.
We decided to elope, so we took a look at that, a Chiron and everything. No, we decided to elope. She didn't want a wedding. She preferred to save the money because when we move here to Nashville, we're going to be looking to buy a house. So she just wanted to keep that for that, which I obviously thought was very prudent. But we still wanted to do something, so we took a little road trip up to, first we went to Mobile, Alabama to see our favorite comedian. Got some front row tickets to Louis C.K. And all that was great. And then the next day we went over to New Orleans and got married.
Nice. In New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why that's funny. But
I was talking about his thing at the bottom.
First married PK. Well, this is
I
her
said, but it's his
first
second marriage.
Yeah, this is her first marriage, my second marriage.
No, but I meant out of us.
Yeah.
First one marriage.
Let me tell you something. By the end of the year, never mind. That's not my story. Go ahead.
I already had that title because I already had one before we even started this. But
I'm claiming seconds.
Yeah,
Kellie, we can be second together.
Here, I'll throw a virtual.
I said, can you throw the
I'll throw a virtual bouquet and whoever catches it. Right.
It was already caught.
Kellie, what's going on? Why you didn't mention that when you were telling us how you were doing? What you got?
Terry, so tell us more about the wedding.
It was you're not private no more. What's going on?
It was very small. It was just us.
The two of you.
Yeah, just the two of us. You know, that's the funny thing is the person running it said the same thing. They said, "Okay, so do you have guests coming?" And we said, "No, it's just us." And they went, "Aw." I don't know why that's aw, but.
So I got a question. So you posted a picture of. Now I wish we could show the picture. So insert the picture here. You posted a picture, or maybe it was a video of you guys at a restaurant, but you had said it was just you guys, but you had stood up and said,
yes,
to everyone, I brought you guys all here because we just got married. I'm like, wait, was this your family or not?
No.
Okay.
What it was that was a, I don't know if you know this, but I'm known to be a little outlandish. And I knew that cause she loves being pretty and being dressed up and all that. And she loved walking through the French Quarter, in her wedding dress, and everybody's like, "Oh, congratulations," and this and that. So we went to my favorite restaurant in New Orleans is Dickie Brennan's Steakhouse. Very nice, very fancy, very expensive place. And so we went there, and they were very nice, treated us very nice, but they had us in one of the back rooms with some other groups, and I don't know what came over me. I just stood up and clinked my glass and said, "I'm sure you're all wondering why I've gathered you here today." Which everybody looked at me confused, like, "What? No, we were just here doing whatever." And I said, but actually we just got married and I don't know why no one's congratulated her yet. And that's when everybody started clapping and doing that thing. So I was just making a scene for her. Yeah, just making a scene for her benefit so she can get some admiration. I know how much women love the admiration. So
especially when we're cute now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. If you're dressed up and you're ready to go and you're ready for it, you know,
right.
That's when you want the admiration.
Correct.
Yeah. So.
That's how you stand up for your wife. That's how you show up for your wife.
When did y'all?
What?
When did you guys like decide? Yeah, let's do it. Like, when did she get her dress?
We decided on this plan in December, because those front row tickets to see Louis C.K. was my Christmas present, and she had got them for me, and she's no good at keeping a secret, so she told me like the first week of December. She's like, I just have to tell you. So, and then as around the holidays, she's like, we should just do this, while we're on that trip, we might as well just. She's like, I found this wedding chapel in New Orleans, and it's only 2 hours away from where we're going to be anyway. So she said we should just do this, and I was like, yeah, let's do this.
So did you propose?
No. Okay. No, I guess she proposed to me, to be honest. Because she was like, we should just do this. She's, but we're very pragmatic people. We're just, very practical. And she's like, I love you. You love me. We're moving together. We're starting a life together. We should just do it. And I was like,
I'm not uprooting my whole life without the ring, is what she said.
I guess she's already done it before. So
she wasn't doing it again. She said, I did it once.
This time I want the official. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. That's fine. She deserves it. She deserves what she wants.
She wasn't moving fast enough. So.
She knows me. She knows that I'm Irish. I can just live with anything forever. Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, we just overlook anything. It's just like, it's fine.
I'm proud of her. She done taught me a thing or two. I'm gonna get married too. Go ahead, Janessa.
I was gonna say, how did y'all's family take the news, or did they know?
Oh no, they loved it. My dad and my sisters, like, they love her. They think it's great we're together. And then her family was obviously very excited. She's an only child, so they were all very excited. But no, it just kind of worked out. Like, nobody really cared that we didn't have a wedding. They were just like, that's great. Congratulations. And,
So, one last question, Terry.
Sure.
So, can we expect a little PK coming soon?
Grand PK.
We have talked about it, and it's basically just gonna be like once we move to Nashville and get established and have ourselves set out, I'm just gonna stop pulling out, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right.
Yes, she wants my seed, and I'm fine with it. So, but again, pragmatic. So we're just waiting until we get established in our new place and everything's good, and then we'll see what happens. We're to put it in perspective for this podcast, we're just going to put it in God's hands. So,
gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Definitely happy for you, sir.
Yeah, there's not going to be any like planning, like, I'm temperature, I'm ovulating, whatever. No, just we have plenty of sex. I can say that now openly because we're married, and it's fine. Jesus is okay with it. So if I just stop trying not to have a kid, we'll probably have a kid. So.
All right. Well, we're looking for that news in the next 6 months.
If the Lord deems it so, apparently.
So, amen. Well, again, congratulations. Super happy for you. One of our 500 million followers saw it first. She's the one who told me.
Really?
Yep.
My brother liked it before I even saw it. I said,
Right.
Well, I told you when I left the week before last, I said when I came back, I'd have news. So.
Oh, I wasn't there.
You did say that. You
I
said
did. I said, and you were there. I said, no, we're gonna have big news.
I was there.
You were right. Because we couldn't remember if you were moving or if you had a show or something.
Right. You were like, where's Terry?
No, wanted to do it secret. Want to have that big surprise moment for everybody.
Nah, it's exciting.
It was definitely a surprise. Even our parents and family didn't know till like the day before. Like, yeah.
It's all right.
So
I'm gonna be the second married one. I caught the bouquet.
No, because it wasn't a 1, 2, 3 throw. It was I caught the bouquet. What?
All right,
Terry,
1, 2, 3. It's still Kelly. It's still Kelly.
We're gonna have to see the replay, the instant replay on YouTube.
No, I saw it very clearly.
It was clearly Kelly.
Replay on
It was
YouTube.
Janessa Wi-Fi was just a little slow, so she moved. She moved at the same time. It just looked little.
It was a glitch.
No, it was Kelly by a good 1.5 seconds.
I'm already having technical difficulties. I'm on my phone today. So, Terry, throw it one more time.
Terry, listen. Terry, you don't even got to throw it because what y'all don't realize, I didn't want to rain on Terry's parade, but I'm actually already, and I'm just kidding.
You know that.
Here, I'll throw one to both of you. There you go. You got 2 bouquets. Oh, God, Rudy caught it. That's boy, Janessa, you really slow on this.
Terry, throw it again.
I'll throw 2. Ready? 2. You can both have one. There you go.
Jesus Christ.
No, it was the whole ceremony was really cheesy and messed up, and like the whole situation was terrible and bad. Like everything that could have possibly gone wrong went wrong. And that and we just kind of looked at each other and it's like, this is fitting. This is fitting for us and our journey and our relationship. And we just laughed about it. Like literally the second we got out and away from the chapel with the people running it, we just both started laughing. We were like, that was crazy. Like that was, but that's when I knew I was like, it doesn't matter. This is perfect, you know, because we're both sitting here like, because there's a lot of women that would have freaked out about that stuff. And she didn't. No, she was like, I look pretty. You look handsome. We're fine. Like we had
like, Lord, I'm not supposed to marry this man.
No.
There's a sign.
No.
This is not it.
You're definitely gonna be second with that much.
No. Everything was weird. Starting with as soon as we got to our hotel in New Orleans, the shower didn't work and didn't work the entire time we were there. Yeah. So
I didn't change rooms?
No, couldn't. Wasn't a possibility. So I mean the shower was just like little stuff out. So it was like, all right, we're taking baths for 2 days. That's what's happening. So I mean you usually want a shower, but it's whatever. No, but I rolled with it, she rolled with it, and everything turned out great and fun and funny, which is the biggest thing. It was all very funny.
Well, I wish you guys 100 years.
I don't know if I want 100 years of anything at this point. I'm already 41, so.
Y'all can live to be 141 together. Well, how old is she?
That sounds like a nightmare.
How old is she? 25? 100 and...
No, she's 30.
Young. Mm-hmm.
What do you mean young? She's 11 years younger than me. That's fine.
Noah was 950 when he died.
What is the old adage? Someone that is acceptable to date as far as your age is half your age plus 7. So half my age would be what? 20 and a half plus 7. So that's 27 and a half. She's a few years over that.
Man.
Okay, don't judge me. Love is love.
All right.
Love is love. No, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, sorry to interrupt, but we have a few church announcements. Follow us on Instagram at The Worst Ones PK. New content coming soon. We also have a TikTok at The Worst Ones PK. No content yet, but continue to check us out. if you want to, when you listen to our podcast, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Just make sure you type in the Worst Ones Podcast and you'll find us. And when you get there, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 500,422 followers. We love you so much. Now, back to the show.
Go for it, Terry.
Should the church pay for the pastor's housing, a.k.a.
Should the church buy the pastor a crib?
I didn't like it. I'm too late. I'm too late to say that.
He just told you it was 4-1.
It's called a parsonage. Just in case anybody doesn't know, it's a parsonage. Whatever housing that the church gives to the pastor is called a parsonage. In Catholicism, it's referred to as a rectory. That's where the priests and the nuns lived. But it is an old tradition. Even in my time, like the day my father got his first church, we literally moved into the church. And when the church burned down and we couldn't live there, obviously, they got us a house. Like they bought a house under the church, which I believe still belongs to them, if I'm not mistaken. And that's where we lived. But my father also got a pretty decent salary as well at that church. So is the church providing housing, is that old-fashioned? Is that outdated? You know? Because it used to be the standard thing.
Well, I think in some ways it may be, but in other ways it may not. I do know of a few pastors that have houses that are owned by the church where they live there. But what I more commonly see is that pastors have some form of a housing allowance. And so they can live wherever they want, but the church is covering a portion of, said house. And even in some pastors' contracts, they'll negotiate childcare or health insurance. And I mean, like just different, benefits, like a lot of jobs.
Like as far as benefits go, being a pastor, in my experience, brings a boatload of benefits, outside your salary.
Yeah, a lot. So I think that's kind of where probably more churches than not are the ones that do it. They may offer some type of allowance or some type of payment that's outside of your salary that goes towards housing.
But why is that always with pastors? It's not with doctors. It's not like hospitals don't pay doctors, or cops or anybody else in our society. Sometimes you get money to like relocate or maybe get a discount for living in your district.
But they do for the military. You get a house, you get money to pay rent, and you get money for groceries.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, when you're active duty, yeah.
I assumed everybody lived on base when it was active duty.
No. You live on base like when you're a certain rank. So like the lower ranks definitely live on base, but then the higher you go, you get to have your own apartment. And you get your base paid, but then you also get the housing allowance as well as the food allowance.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't, whoever was talking, I just wanted to.
But the question is that old-fashioned and outdated? Because like you said, the military does it, but the military does a lot of things that most companies, most employers don't do. And most employers wouldn't pay a housing allowance, wouldn't pay for these things, but churches do. So do we do it just out of tradition, or is there a function?
I mean, maybe they're paying for the inconvenience, because most of the time, I think we've even talked about it, especially you and Kellie have expressed in reference to your father's, just say, whether it's people coming to the house or he always on the phone or whatever, so I think like when we compensate you, we also get to interrupt your life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I know that as far as my experience goes, the parsonage would either be literally attached to the church or on the same property as the church, or someone or like somewhere very nearby. So I always thought of it as like, oh, they did it because they want him close. They want him right next to the church. You know, even when the church burned down and we got the house,
I mean,
it was on the same street, a block away.
But that's what I'm saying. That's still the inconvenience. Like we're gonna compensate you, but it's because we get to inconvenience you. Even with living near the church, that's an inconvenience. So we definitely know, you know what I'm saying, any business with the church, like we can get direct access to you because you're there. You're right here.
Well, that's a little creepy because it's like we know where you are. All right. Anytime we need you.
But especially like if a church hired you, like you kind of deal just say with that as opposed to, you know, and I know it's kind of fickle when people just say start their own church, but if you start it for the right reason, let's just say in a perfect world, then just say you have a little bit more control on how that goes. But if you get hired by a church, you know, but if you start your own church, you also don't get the free housing. You feel what I'm saying? Like, so, I mean, that could be a perk, especially if you got a lot of kids, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like Janessa said, you get to put in the child care. Like, those are things where, you know, especially if you got a thriving church where that can be beneficial for, you know, just say the upbringing of your family. You know what I'm saying? So some people may look at that like, yeah, that's a sweet deal. But it just comes with the territory that I have to be inconvenienced. I have to go to the hospital late night or whatever the case may be.
If you're getting a parsonage and a salary, why do you need childcare? Because I would assume that most pastors would be a married couple in some way. So why would you even need it? Is my question. But then I remember Janessa said sometimes they just negotiate for childcare, which means maybe it is a 2-income household. So,
I mean, sometimes like it's just an extra expense that you just don't have to worry about. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh no, when we had that house, I remember the church paid for everything. They didn't just pay for the house. They owned the house. They paid the electric bill. They paid the phone bill. Like, you know, they paid the property taxes. Like, they owned it. We lived there, you know, but it was their property and we just lived there. And when it all went away, the house went away too. So it's one of those things.
Believe it or not, they have that. It's like that for high school coaches, depending on where they are and depending on what the program is. Like I know of programs in high school, especially in Georgia, that like their coaches, like they, you know, when you're the coach of a certain high school, because it's a winning high school, you get, you know, the mansion, you get a certain amount of money. They give you a truck or, you know, a car, whatever it is that you want. Like, you get all that type of stuff, but then if you get fired, then like you said,
lose the job, you lose the company car,
right?
And you lose the company house in this case.
So I think sometimes people, you know, if people just use it, different people use it, you know, just say as a tactic to get who they want, you know, in just a position of power, and that system is just also used, you know, in the church. And I don't know if it's necessarily anything wrong with it, especially if it's one thing if, you know, if you're buying the church is buying the pastor $100 million estate, you know what I'm saying? Like we'll get to that. We're gonna get to that. I promise. That's one thing, you know. And I'm not saying the house got to be shitty. I'm just saying the house could be nice. It could be.
No, the house that we had was beautiful. It was an old brick style, 3 bedrooms. You know,
I got you. I get
3-car garage, a pool, the whole bit. Like, it was very nice.
For sure. What I'm saying is that I just think that if I see the balance, especially when it comes down to the inconvenience, because that pastor is going to be inconvenienced. You feel what I'm saying? Like there's a certain level of inconvenience that comes with that role. So even that child care and stuff, that's almost even compensation for you taking me time away from my kids. You feel what I'm saying? Because now I have to deal with the inconvenience of my personal life because I have taken on the calling of my, you know, just say.
Well, I agree, but I don't even think that inconvenience. If you're going to be a pastor, I don't think the word inconvenience comes to mind. Sure. I think when I think of a church and a pastor, I think of like a symbiotic relationship. You know, it's not a job. It's a relationship that you're building not just with this building itself or this group of people, but the community around you, the group of your congregation, everything. Like it's a relationship that feeds off one another. Like
I mean, honestly, it's a smart move for the church because that's real estate that the church owns.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like it ain't like it's really harming anybody. It's helping the pastor while he's there. And the church, like I said, the church, has some level of, wealth, if you will, because it owns real estate. If they decide to rent it out or sell it or whatever, like they still have that control.
I believe it was my father's idea, actually, because like I said, when the first, year, I think, around a year that we were living there, we literally lived in the church. We had a small little, maybe 900 square foot area that they just put drywall up in to kind of create 2 rooms, and had a little kitchenette and a little bathroom, and that's where we lived. But then once the church burned down and they got a big insurance payoff, and I'm pretty sure my dad was like, hey, we should buy property under the church's name. It'll be the parsonage. It'll increase in value. And then if we ever need to, for whatever reason, we could sell it, put the money back in the church. So but I mean, having a parsonage is pretty common in my experience, but that's my experience. So.
Well, I was going to also say a quick Googlerization with the IRS. So it says that a minister's housing allowance, sometimes called a parsonage allowance or a rental allowance, is excluded from gross income for income tax purposes, but not for self-employment tax purposes.
That's true.
So there's that aspect too.
Mm-hmm.
Why maybe churches do it, especially churches. I don't know. Do all churches have like that nonprofit 501k status or
501c3?
What 501c3? There you go.
Yeah, they do.
So taxes and money.
Yep.
That probably plays a role into it too.
Plays a huge role.
Now that kind of goes to what you were saying though. Like if the church has a $100 million house and you're writing it off, and that's not being included in your income.
Let's take one in particular, Mr. Joel Osteen of Texas, the largest televangelist in the world, has an $11 million mansion.
But how do you know the church is paying for that though? How do you know that's a parsonage as opposed to him being?
Oh, it's well known because they have to put it in their taxes.
But I'm saying, but Joel Osteen is rich though. Like he can afford an $11.
Joel Osteen is rich because of the church. But
sure, but I'm saying, like, if it's not like if they took his $11 million house right now, he couldn't afford to go get in another.
Trust me,
several $1 million house is what I'm
saying. That church. I mean, that $11 million mansion is in the church's name. Those jets he owns, they are in the church's name. Everything is in the church's name for exactly the reason that Janessa just said. It's a tax. It is a tax issue. Because then they are exempt from property taxes. They are exempt from income taxes.
But there's also this aspect. Didn't his dad start that church though? Because you can have some in the church's name. That don't mean that it's just say you got hired by that church and then they already have it. Like you could be the person who started the church and then buy all the property or whatever.
What did I just tell you? That's what my father did.
Right.
My father, as the head of the church, said we're going to buy a parsonage.
But listen what I'm saying. The difference between Joel Osteen and everybody else we're talking about is that means that he probably also owns the church. So like or whatever LLC or whatever the church is under. So that means that those properties are still under his, like just say his personal lineage, if you will benefit from that. Like no. It's not like to my knowledge, I don't think
it's a double-edged sword because when you allow the church to own the property that you live in or own, yourself, yes, you don't have to pay for the property taxes. Yes, you save a lot of money on tax issues. But for whatever reason, if you and the church should become separated, the church owns that. Like you can't take it. You can't take it with you.
But what about when you own the church? That's what I'm saying. If you own the church, there is no separation.
Well, nobody can really own a church if you claim 501c3 status. Then you have a board.
But what I'm saying, if you're still the head of the 501c3, what I'm saying is like, your
there
name
is no head. That's
but
what
listen,
I'm
what
trying
I'm
to
saying. If your name is on the church and the church owns the property, then there is no separation. That's one thing. That's as opposed to if I got hired by a church who already owned the property, or even acquired more property while I was the pastor under its name. If I then got fired, that's where the separation is. But what I'm saying is that if you built that church from the ground up and then buy property under that church's name, that's just like building a company from the ground up and then just having.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It is very much not. Because again, if you're claiming 501c status, there is no there's no owner. Nobody owns it. It's an entity that is operated by a board of directors.
Okay, so let me ask you this: if you build a church from the ground up and then the church closes down, who owns everything that the church has when it closes?
No one.
So I'm saying, where's it going to go?
Again, 501c3 status means I'm trying to answer you. Let me answer. 501c3 status gives you a lot of protections under the federal tax regulations. However, it gives you no protections under the assets that entity owns. That entity is not a single person. There is no owner. There will never be an owner. Unlike a business that you build up from the ground, right? You can say, I'm the owner. That's it. I own this. If this company goes under, I own everything that they own. All the debt is mine. All the assets are mine because I own it. A church doesn't work like that, at least legally. It is an entity that is unto itself, and it is run by a board of directors. And normally a pastor, yes, will be on that board, but you still have to have a consensus on that board for every decision they make.
Okay,
that's how my dad's churches run.
You can't have a profit.
But Janessa, but your dad got hired to pastor that church, correct?
Yes.
Which is my point. So if your dad, for whatever reason, left that church, then yes, what's under New Piney Grove would stay with New Piney Grove because that relationship came from a hire. But that would be a totally different story if one day Dexter Rowland was like, I'm starting New Piney Grove, built it up. And then what I'm saying is, and then everything underneath that church's name, if that church ended, my question to you is, who would take the stuff? Who would the stuff go to?
I don't think it's a who would take the stuff. It's kind of like when people die and they have estates, the house goes to the estate, the money goes to the estate. It doesn't go.
Who belongs to the estate?
Go to the husband or the wife or the children. Sometimes they'll go to the estate, and then there's somebody who kind of represents that entity and controls it.
Yeah, but they can't, and that's the board of directors.
But I'm saying,
to Rudy's point, he's asking if the church folds and they still got $1 million in the bank, who gets the $1 million? My answer to you is the board of directors decides what to do with the $1 million, because again, they can't keep it, because that's the essential of a 501c3 is you can't make a profit. You just can't. You can give yourself bonuses. You can increase your salary. You can give housing allowances. You can give car allowance. You can do all that, but you cannot make a profit.
So like I'm saying, so if you start a church, you have that option to then make that decision when everything folds. If you get hired by the church, that option may not be there for you.
It doesn't matter either way.
What do you mean it doesn't matter either way?
You
get to decide what happens with the money.
I don't know how many times I have to say this. If you start the church or get hired by the church, it doesn't matter. If you're listing it as a 501c3, you have to have a board of directors. You have to be a nonprofit. You don't get to own it. You don't get to be the owner. I don't care if you started in your garage. If you list it as a 501c3, these are the things that have to happen.
So I'm assuming, and could be wrong, there has to be some type of plan in place ahead of time that says this is how we're going to. If this dissolves, this is what we're going to do with the assets or the whatever.
I would imagine. But if your church dissolves, hopefully your assets are. I would hope that if your church has been dissolved, hopefully your assets are pretty much expended because you expended them trying to save it. You know, I would like to think that that's the case.
Terry, you always trying to tell people what to do with their money.
I'm just saying, if the church is going under and you still got $500,000 in the bank, I would hope you use the $500,000 to try to save the church. You know, I would hope that's the case.
I guess.
Mm.
Well, it's been hard to get a word in today. And somewhere in there, I'm just gonna go back to the original question. I don't even know where to
I don't know how we're here either.
Right. where we are now. But should the church buy the pastor a house? Or should they? I know Janessa started with housing allowances and those type of things. I definitely. Well, this was one question that I had in terms of the parsonage, that I wondered if churches were buying church or buying houses or providing places to live for pastors was because they weren't getting a salary back in the day.
Yes, because you got to remember that the first Christian churches were Catholic churches. That's where all Christianity comes from, is Catholicism. And they wouldn't buy anything. They would build rectories, literally either attached or right next door to Catholic churches.
They weren't getting a salary. They weren't getting
no. Well, no, they always got paid some. They always got paid some. They still get paid today. The last priest I knew was a German priest, and he drove around in a Mercedes. But that's because he was getting a salary from the Church of Rome, and he wasn't paying any of his living expenses, so he could do whatever he wanted to with the money. But yeah, so I mean, that was always the case. They were always doing that.
Right. So I definitely get that in that sense of taking care of the pastor, and then whatever taxes or write-offs or however all that works, definitely was, maybe a plus to it all. But I do,
Oh, I was saying, it's definitely corrupted now. Yeah. Like you get way too many accountants involved, and they'll figure out a loophole for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. But back in this traditional, pure way, I think that, like I get it. I mean, because I think that I can see where the church feels like that they had a responsibility to take care of their pastor. I think we talk about that now, and so basic needs in terms of housing, I think is an important way to take care of your pastor. As it was mentioned earlier, I also think that a matter of convenience. You right here on the property, you have no reason not to respond to all calls at all times, because your car outside, heck, you don't even need a car, because where else you going but from the home to the church and back to the house? Now I'm playing, but
that's kind of how it is.
You said what?
That's kind of how it is, actually.
But my parents live about 5 minutes from the church, but my father did that on purpose. That was his own choice to live that close to the church. But yes, I don't see anything wrong with the church, especially traditionally back in the day, supporting basic needs for the pastor. Again, I think where you were headed earlier is that it gets a bit excessive when we're talking about millions of dollars of housing. And we've talked before too, like should pastors be able to live a life of luxury? And I think that may be a good one to go back to. And I think I remember me saying, like, what's wrong with them driving a Mercedes? What's wrong with them? You're on mute.
My bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with it if they're paying for themselves from money they made. Just say entrepreneurship wise, but not from the money they made from the church.
If you're saving, look, if your church provides your housing for you and a salary, you should have plenty of money to go and trip the life fantastic if you want to. You know, because if you're not paying for housing and you're making a decent salary, like if you were making $4,000 a month and the church is providing everything for you, it's not going to take that long to save up the money to buy a Cadillac. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's really not. So should you be able to drive a Cadillac? Sure. But I think I think the key statement Kellie said was basic, right? When you said basic necessities. But just like you said, when it gets to an $11 million mansion, unless you're having parishioners over for the weekend and staying there, or if you're using it to cycle people in and out who are in need in your church, you don't need a 10-bedroom mansion that's $11 million. That's not what the church is for. I think the difference between basic support of a church and a pastor and corruption is kind of like what they say about art. You know, like you can't define it, but you know it when you see it. Okay, well, you know corruption when you see it too. You know.
Well, Rudy, how do you feel about, so you said if they, have entrepreneurship, they're making their own money outside of what the church is doing. What if they're making their money outside of church, but based off of the church's following? Like you writing a book and you didn't use the church to publish it.
That sounds like a great topic for next week.
But I think
who are buying the book and heavily promoting the book are people within your ministry.
Right. I think that's a great topic for next week. I think we can make a whole hour out of that.
I got you, but I think it's inevitable because if you're unless for whatever reason, like just say like you're a pastor with a smaller church, and I'm just totally making this up. Let's just say like you do music or you make some type of art, or you open a restaurant or whatever, and then people know you from that could be one thing. But if you are just say creating entrepreneurship the Christian route in the sense of like you're writing Christian books, you're writing like you're branding, I'm pastor whoever, or I'm prophet whoever, whatever like that, then it's pretty much inevitable if you're going that route because your church is going to be just say attached to it, and you're following from even outside of your church, it's still going to be attached to your just say church whatever. You know what I'm saying? So unless for whatever reason you just got your church over here, but then you do something totally different from church and just make a lot of money from it. Maybe you invested in, real estate or whatever, and you know what I'm saying, and just start making millions of dollars so you didn't have to worry about taking the salary from the church. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't see anything wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Like you doing your thing. Because pastors, like they come from different backgrounds. Like some, may have, came from the streets or whatever, or some may, could be retired military, retired firefighter, somebody who got money. Like I said, they done bought a couple properties, maybe invested in something we ain't never heard of before, and made millions of dollars doing it. You know what I'm saying? And if they, if they pull up in the Rari, you feel me? I don't feel like we can be mad at that. Now, if they, they making all their money just, strictly off of just say the gospel, even if it is traveling and preaching and stuff like that, I think then there's a little bit more balance. Not saying that you can't have the nice stuff, but I do think you now just say, oh, a little bit more of that income back to the people because of the ministry that you're in. Not all of it. Don't be poor. Don't be homeless. You don't even got to be middle class. But I'm just saying, like, to me, that going that route is different than if you opened up a restaurant that ain't, that wasn't even, people didn't even know you was a pastor at ever. You know what I'm saying? You just was cooking food and whatever the case may be. Or like I said, you had properties and people was buying them up or whatever the case may be. But if you writing books, if you going around preaching, whatever like that, then I do think there is just a little bit more balance for that person, in my opinion.
Somebody write it down because that's next week's.
So a pastor makes $100,000 and he drives a Benz. He doesn't get money from he doesn't even write books or travel. He only makes his $100,000. He drives a Benz.
How does he make it? How does he make it from what?
From the church.
Like it's a whole nother topic.
Like his salary?
His salary is $100,000. Yes. Okay. He drives a Benz, lives in a nice house. but pays his 10% tithe back to the church. So he gives $10,000 a year back to the church. Does that make his more luxurious lifestyle any better for you? Does it make it any different if they are?
I don't know why
10?
we're burning another topic on the same
Well,
episode.
we've already really kind of talked about this, which is why
I ain't saying nothing about it because again, this is next week's topic.
That's fine, but to me, I mean,
burning topics, no reason.
I think, yeah, because I guess even with $100,000, I mean, it ain't like he finna be, private jetting it and whatever the case may be.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
If it was $1 million and he gave $100,000 back to the church and lived in $1 million home and drove a.
For sure, but I'm saying, with a person like that, I still think you're still going to be more in the giving spirit. So even just say, yeah, you gave your 10th back to God, but then you may be out to eat and pay for somebody else's meal who crossed the room, or you may whatever the case may be. Like there's you may give it to charity, you may help somebody who's struggling out of your own pocket, as opposed to going to the church and pulling it out of the church's little fund for that type of stuff. Like it's different things you can, and I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm not the judge of where the bar is, but I'm just saying, like, I do think that there's just more of a mindset of the people when your income is 100% from the people. But
that's right.
But I've also said this about anybody. I don't care if you're a rapper or whatever. Like, I feel like if you make money strictly from people, like I said, they support you, whatever, like, you should do something to give back. I don't care if you Walmart, Chick-fil-A, whatever. Like, people is the reason why you make your money. Like, you should have things that give back to, just say, those.
That's right. Tune in next week to hear us discuss whether a preacher should be able to use the church to promote his own side hustles. Because we're already over an hour.
Yeah, but we didn't start on time.
Hour 7.
I'll be watching the clock, man.
All right.
That's why I'm not.
Well, I'm saying we don't have enough time to get into this because it's going to be a whole long thing.
We in it, man.
No, we didn't.
We in it. You just ain't want to join us.
Because I don't like burning topics for no reason. I thought that was a good topic. So, but we had enough time to get into it.
I got you. We're done now. So.
I'm just trying to do my best out here, trying to grow, trying to give my all.
So you can find me church announcements. Is that where we are?
These aren't really church announcements, but yeah, these are just,
my personal announcement.
Yeah,
the back of the bulletin. I don't know.
Tell them where they can't find you.
You cannot find me at. Well, you can find me. You just can't find me at Princess Kels 51. It's
you
private.
can find her there and be rejected by her all at the same time.
So I don't post. So you're not really missing much. So,
Well, you catching bouquets. You ain't gonna catch nobody like that. You better let some folks in.
We didn't already pray for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold.
All right. Prayers in the head and the mouth and the hands. So use them hands.
Oh my gosh.
Let some people in.
You can find me at JRihanna __ on Instagram. My page is public and we have fun over there. That's it.
Shady.
Especially about plants.
You can find me at Terry Wayne Comedy on all social media platforms. I will have some new dates in the next little bit. I'll be in Orlando this coming weekend, but it's too late. Nobody knows. And then I'll be in Tennessee starting in March. And then Unclaimed Ashes, the book on Amazon, is still available, and not enough of you are buying it. So go on there and buy it. You can get the Kindle, the paperback, or the hardcover.
There you go. And once again, congrats, Terry and Miranda.
Terry and Miranda.
In your holy matrimony.
Thank you.
and you are the first married PK again.
For the second time.
For the second time.
Yeah. That was almost going to be the topic tonight was should pastors be shamed for second marriages? But that'll be another topic for another day.
Well, my dad is definitely on his second, so shame him. Shame on you.
My
Shame
dad
on
is
you,
on
Papa.
my dad is on his fourth. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I think. Well, no. My
we're gonna save it. We're gonna save it up. We're gonna save these up and write these down.
Yeah, we'll be enough going next week. Hey, what was them 2 topics we had talked about?
Right.
No, I've written them down there.
God bless y'all. We out this motherfucker, man. We the worst one.
Top of the world.